What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's continue my NFL offseason preview series. We're going to head to the NFC West today, the best division in all of football. We're going to start with the defending Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. So Seattle, they have a couple of key free agents. Kenneth Walker, your starting running back, very explosive player, Super Bowl MVP, 160 yards in the Super Bowl. He is a free agent. Tariq Woolen, your slot corner, one of the better slot corners in the NFL. He's a free agent. A couple of other guys like Kobe Bryant, one of your safeties, is a free agent. So a couple of relatively higher caliber free agents for the Seattle Seahawks. Good news is they have north of $63 million in cap space at their disposal. Is the sixth most in the NFL. The NFL announced today they have set a salary cap is going to be $301 million, which is a $22 million increase from last year as the salary cap continues to go up year in and year out. As for Seattle, in terms of what they need to do, I think they should continue beefing up the offensive line. It was not bad by any means last year, especially in the postseason with some of the defenses that they face. But I think it could see continued improvement. You've done a good job in last couple drafts, taking Charles Cross from a top 10 a couple years ago. He's a good left tackle. You nailed getting Gray Zabel in the first round last year. He plays guard for you. Also, they have already a very solid offensive line. But I mean, Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. He's relatively mobile, but slightly more of a pocket passer. So having a very good offensive line is very important. So that's something I think they should continue to beef up. And honestly, this team is so well built. Just try and bring back as many guys as you can. Look, I don't like paying running backs. That's, I think it's very obvious. But Kenneth Walker is really explosive. Him and Charbonnet are a very dominant duo. I think if you can bring him back, you should do everything you power to try and do so. Even Tariq Woolen, another guy you hypothetically could replace. You have Devon Witherspoon there as well on the outside. He's an all-pro caliber player. At safety, Julian Love is really good. The defense is absolutely ridiculously talented. But, he's a good player. If you can bring him back, I think you should try. Even Kobe Bryant, who, again, he doesn't play as big of a role. He's replaceable. But, if it ain't broke, don't fix kind of thing. Try to bring as many guys back as you can. And there's two guys you have to lock up, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Your superstar receiver, who was the offensive player of the year this past year. He is eligible for a long-term contract extension. I think you should give that to him. Also, corner Devon Witherspoon from our top five pick. He's one of the best young corners in the game. He is, I believe, eligible for a contract extension as well. Yes, he is. He's going into. He still has his fifth-year option, but he also should get a huge contract as well. So Seattle, just try and run back as much as you can and continue beating up the offensive line, and you'll be in a good spot. Next up, we're going to go to Los Angeles Rams. Last year, of course, made the playoffs. You lose in the NFC Championship game to the Seattle Seahawks. So look, this is a really good roster. Very few holes on this roster. The coaching staff is mostly coming back. I know Mike LaFleur, their offensive coordinator, took a head coach job, but Nate Scheelhaas is being promoted from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator after he did not get a head coaching position in this cycle. I know they're bringing in Cliff Kingsbury, adding him to the staff. Chris Stewart's not going to head coaching position, so he's back as their defensive coordinator. Honestly, I think they should look to find a potential successor to Matthew Stafford. Don't get me wrong. I think Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's still one of the best in the league. Going to be 38 years old next year. He's one of the MVP, still playing at a very high level, not showing any signs of slowing down. That being said, he's going to be 38 years of age next year. I'm not worried about his contract. I know his contract does void after 2026. I don't see him ever playing for another team ever again. Uh, but, at some point he's going to lose a step. He's going to be 38. He's been doing this a long time. 2026 will be year 18 for Matthew Stafford. At some point they should, look to the future. And I know this quarterback class isn't very good. That being said, you don't have a very high first round pick. You have $44 million in cap space to work with. You can probably go into this draft not really having any real, true, glaring needs. I thought the Rams were the second best team in the NFL last year. The only team that beat them was the best in the Seattle Seahawks. So maybe you take a flyer on a quarterback in the first round. Whether it's if Ty Simpson drops to you, somebody else, maybe in day 2 or 3, you take a chance on a guy like Garrett Nussmeier. I don't know what team's going to get anything out of Drew Aller. Maybe the Rams are that team. If anybody could get anything out of that guy, it's Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams. But this is a great team. I wonder if they look to possibly extend some of these younger guys. Puka Nakua, I believe, is extension eligible. Yes, he is. He's got going into last year's deal. I expect him to get a long-term contract extension from the Los Angeles Rams, and I would just try and bring back as many guys as you can. Try and lock up some of these younger guys like Puka Nakua, and maybe start thinking about the future because this is a slightly older roster, especially at the quarterback position with Matthew Stafford, who's going to be 38 years old next year. Next team's going to the San Francisco 49ers. Last year made the playoffs. You win a playoff game on the road against Philadelphia, then get slaughtered by Seattle in the second round. So Niners have 25 million in cap space. Obviously, a lot of veterans, some bigger deals on this team. So I'm not sure if they're able to re-sign Juwan Jennings, who was probably your best receiver last year. He's gonna get a pretty decent payday, I would think. He's from like a 2, 3, 4 with the Niners. He'll at least get a like high-end wide receiver 2 money, if not possibly low-end wide receiver 1 money in free agency. From what I've heard, Brandon Ayuk is not going to be there next year. That 4-year, $120 million extension that he only recently signed is blowing up in their face. He's played just 5 games over the last 2 years, was injured all of last season, and he's a complete head case. As for what that looks like, I know I'm pretty sure they voided the guarantees in his contract. If they were to move on from him, they can save. It would probably be easier if they waited a year, honestly, to move on from him. But they don't have much of a choice, it seems. Pretty sure, looking at his Spotrac page, they can't really cut or trade him before June 1st. But if they move on from him after June 1st, if they cut him after June 1st, they would save about $8.3 million. Or no, they would save $6.3 million. His dead cap will be a little over $8 million this year and over $21 million next year. If they trade him after June 1st, they would still save the $6.3 million. Actually, it wouldn't make a difference. So he's probably going to be cut at the June 1st destination. They're going to have to eat about $30 million in dead cap over the next 2 years, and they get an extra $6 million to play with. I expect them to move on and go their separate ways. They had a lot of injuries last year. Michael Williams, your first round edge rusher, was hurt most of the year. As was Nick Bosa, was one of the best in the league. Fred Warner was one of the best in the league at his position. He was hurt most of the year. Having those guys hopefully healthy. I know Bosa can be a bit injury prone. Will go a long way if they can stay healthy. But to me, they have to go as all in as they can this offseason if they want to win a Super Bowl with this group. Brock Purdy's $265 million contract takes effect. Actually, they have maybe 2027 because he's due 24.7 million this year or this coming year. 2027 he'll be due 30.8 million, but then he'll be due 57.6 million in 2028, and then the 2 years after that it jumps to even higher numbers. So they're kind of running out of time with this core. It's getting older. The salaries are really starting to rise. They're getting a little bit closer to the salary cap. They got to try and improve the offensive line in front of Brock Purdy. He missed a bunch of games this past year. I know everyone's saying that, they're probably going to trade Mac Jones. But I've heard they don't want to do so. I might keep him for the year because of the injuries to Brock Purdy this past year. He played very well filling in for Brock Purdy. I think he fits very well in this system. And defensively, I mean, look, if Nick Bosa's a stud when he's healthy. I mean, they drafted Michael Williams in the first round a year ago. Fred Warner, if he's healthy, is one of the best in the league at his position. But I would try that to the secondary. To me, it's been a bit of a problem for a couple of years now. I like De'Mondre Lenore. He's very good, but he needs a little bit of help. And they may need to look at the wide receiver position because Ricky Pearsall can't stay healthy. George Kittle's a Hall of Fame caliber tight end. Going to be 33. He has some health concerns. If Jennings and Ayuk aren't coming back, I mentioned Pearsall's health concerns. Marcus Robinson is much of a threat. So they may need to add another receiver to this team. So from the Niners, offensive line and receiver and defensive back are probably your main needs. And last but not least, the Arizona Cardinals. Rough year for the Arizona Cardinals. You have the third overall pick in this coming draft. You have $32.8 million in cap space. Of course, they have a new coach coming in Mike LaFleur. Kyler Murray is obviously the story of the offseason. I did not expect him to be on the team this coming season. He was hurt in their Week 5 game last year. He sits out for a few weeks. Jacoby Brissett comes in, plays better than Kyler Murray, and they end up shutting him down the rest of the year. He is supposed to be due $52.6 million. No, I don't expect him to be on the roster whatsoever. If they designate him as then they're going to probably try and trade him. His contract is a little bit complicated. If they trade him before June 1st, they would save like almost $35 million. His dead cap will be just under $18 million this year. I'm not sure who's going to take that contract though. If they move on from him after June 1st, if they trade him after June 1st, they could save about $25 million, but he would have a 27, almost $28 million dead cap this year. And he'd also have another $7 million in dead cap next year as well. He's got 2 years left on his deal, plus and then the team option in 2028. But I don't see how you can move forward with the guy. He's clearly not the guy. He's clearly not a franchise quarterback. He's going to be 29. Health concerns. We all know his much of his body would hold up coming out of Oklahoma, and it hasn't been able to. They have to move on somehow. As for who they're going to bring in, they still make a landing spot for Malik Willis. The number one landing spot for him is probably Miami because they're Packers South basically over there now. But I think he makes sense in Arizona as well. So we'll see what they do, but I can't imagine he's going to be coming back really in any capacity. So they're going to have to bring a new quarterback, whether that's bringing... they do have Jacoby Brissett under contract for another season. They might just roll him out and win 2 games and try and get the first pick next year. That might be their best bet. But as for Arizona, the roster isn't great. I think James Conner probably gets cut. He's going to be 31 years old. He was injured most of last year. They will save like $7.5 million or so against the cap. I don't think he's a $10 million player a year anymore, which he's making about this coming year. They have a couple of good young receivers. Marvin Harrison, he was a top 5 pick 2 years ago. Haven't really seen it yet. Seen it in flash. We'll see what this next year brings. Michael Wilson did a breakout year, having a Falcon year. We all know what Trey McBride is. But I think they need to continue to improve the offensive line. I like Paris Johnson, your left tackle. He was another former high draft pick. But defensively, a couple of the young guys that I like. I know you brought in Josh Sweat last year, of course. Darius Robinson is a recent first-round pick. Zaven Collins is a former first-rounder who really hasn't worked out. And honestly, I feel like Monty Ossenfort probably should just start freshmen at the GM spot as well. He hasn't done a fantastic job, honestly. I know I like what you took in the first round last year, so you've invested a lot of early draft capital into the front seven, but it hasn't come together yet. You definitely gotta, I think, add one more pass rusher. They gotta add another piece in the secondary. I can see them maybe looking to trade Buda Baker, who's going to be 30 years old. And also, they gotta figure out what's going on at quarterback because I don't think they can bring back Kyler Murray. Other roster stuff and coaching stuff in the NFL. Titans make a couple of moves. They cut Lloyd Cushenberry, your starting center, the last 2 years. 2 years into a 4-year, $50 million contract. They saved $3 million with that move. He was not great last year. He's had some injuries as well. And the Jets make a trade. Titans trade defensive tackle T'Vondre Sweat to the Jets for Jermaine Johnson. This is a relatively even trade. T'Vondre going to be going to his third season, being a second-round pick by the Tennessee Titans. He was, so far, his rookie year, played every game, had 51 tackles, 1 sack, a fumble recovery, a forced fumble, and a pass defense. Was named to an All-Pro team. His past year was hurt a bit, only played in 12 games, though played well when he was out there. 34 tackles, 2 sacks, and a pass defense. going to be 25 years old. Obviously, 2 years left on his rookie deal. Jermaine Johnson was a former first-round pick by the Jets a few years ago. In his second year in 2023, he played very well, started every game at 7.5 sacks, had 7 pass defenses, and a forced fumble, made the Pro Bowl. Missed most of 2024 for torn Achilles last year. Came back, was a little bit rusty coming back, was hurt a bit last year as well. Missed a few games, ended up with 43 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 pass defenses. Going to be 27 years old. He'll be playing on his fifth-year option. I guess for both sides, the Jets have a couple of young pass rushers. You have the second overall pick. There's a couple of young pass rushers you could take second overall. Maybe Orville Reese or Ruben Bain. Probably more so Orville Reese, maybe David Bailey as well at Texas Tech. And that you need the tackle with you trading away Quinn Williams last year. You have Harrison Phillips, or you have Josh Briggs, and then you have Devondre Sweat, and that allows you to draft the pass rusher and have him get consistent playing time. Remember, they also have Will McDonald over there, who's a relatively good player as well. For the Titans, you already have Jeffrey Simmons there at D tackle. He's an all-pro. Pass rush is a much bigger hole for them, and they get a young guy in Johnson. Show him the pass that he can be elite. He's got to be able to stay on the field. So I say it's a pretty even trade. It makes sense for both sides. The Commanders cut their similar Tyler Byads. They saved $2.8 million with that deal. They've been cutting some bait, cutting a couple of veterans loose. The Texans have fired their quarterbacks coach, Gerard Johnson, after 3 years. I mean, it's definitely on Stroud at this point this coming year. The Colts have let Anthony Richardson seek a trade. I wonder if someone could try and fix him. I'm not sure who's going to do that, but someone's going to try. He's still young. He shouldn't have played week 1 in his first season when he got hurt, but he's been very bad since. George Pickens is going to be franchise tagged by the Dallas Cowboys. He will play on the tag if they can't reach a long-term deal. It will be about $27.2 million is what he'll make. So Dallas was able to bring back both George Pickens and Javonte Williams. So kudos to Jerry Jones for once. And A'Shawn Robinson is also being allowed to seek a trade. Defensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers this past year. 65 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 pass defenses, a fumble recovery. He had a career the year before in 2024 of 80 tackles, 5.5 sacks. But he's still a solid defensive tackle. He's been in the league for a while. We'll be going into year 11 next year. And I think someone will probably give you a mid-round pick to make him their starting defensive tackle next year. But let's talk about my top 10 NFL wide receivers from this past season. Number 10 going with T. Higgins. Missed some time of injury, but still had 59 catches, 846 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He's number 2 wide out on the Bengals because they have Jamar Chase, who's on this list as well. But he'd be a 1 pretty much anywhere else. They're kind of 1A, 1B over there. T. Higgins comes in at number 10. Number 9 is Chris Olave. Career for him, following stayed healthy, had 100 catches for over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns, proved himself as an elite wide receiver 1 in this league. And if I'm in the New Orleans Saints, I would look to lock him up and not trade him. And number 8 is Nico Collins. This past year, 71 catches, over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, even with missing a couple of games. Health is a small concern for him when he's healthy. There are very few guys that are better X receiver than Nico Collins. Number 7 is A.J. Brown, 78 catches, 1,003 yards, 7 touchdowns. Even in the year where the Philly offense was very dysfunctional, he still had a really good year. Wonder if he gets traded in the offseason. He probably isn't happy in Philadelphia. I think both sides needed a bit of a divorce. But in the right system, you keep him happy. He is one of the elite receivers in this game. Number 6 is George Pickens, a career for George Pickens, 93 catches, over 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. The reason he was just franchise tagged, he's proven he's one of the elite deep threats in the game. Had a career with the Dallas Cowboys. Number 5 is Justin Jefferson. 84 catches, over 1,000 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, a bit of down year for him. He was in maybe the worst quarterback situation in the NFC, but still had over 1,000 yards. If they got a legit quarterback, I'm sure he'll be back in, that 100 catch, 1,500 yard, 10 touchdown range. But he's still absolutely elite. He was, I'll say, the fifth best receiver this past year. Number 4 is Amon-Ra St. Brown, 117 catches, just over 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. The model of consistency. He's one of the most reliable players in the entire NFL. He's a beast. Number 3 was Jamar Chase, 125 catches over 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns. The guy's an absolute superstar. The only reason he wasn't 1, because 2 guys just had absolutely nutso years. Number 2 was Puka Nacua. Led the league of 129 catches, over 1,700 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Had an absolutely incredible season, was mostly healthy. Number one was Jackson Smith, the Jigba. 119 catches, almost 1,800 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. He was the Offensive Player of the Year for a reason. Of course, capped it off by a Super Bowl trophy as well. Last segment for today, we are going to continue my MLB preview. Going to talk about the American League Central relative to the win-loss projections according to Pacoda. I have the Detroit Tigers winning the American League Central. I think they definitely clear the 83 wins. This team is going to have one of the best rotational baseball. Tricks to ball, the two-time defending Cy Young. Of course, he's in a contract year. You add Framber Valdez. Having those two left at the top of your rotation is elite. Plus, Casey Mize is a decent young arm. Flaherty is serviceable. Right, you bring back Justin Verlander, having a nice homecoming, and maybe his last ever season. He proved down the stretch last year he's still a decent pitcher, even in his 40s. Bullpen should be pretty good. You add Kenley Jansen to close. He's gonna have a couple of saves, be the third, like second or third, the third all-team leading save leader in MLB history. And you have some. It allows Will Vest to settle into a setup role, which he's more fitted for. You brought back Kyle Finnegan, have some RSL pieces there like Bo Brisky and Tyler Holton in that bullpen. Offensively, you're not fantastic, but Gleyber Torres is a solid bat, second base. Torkelson had a career last year. I like Dylan Dingler behind the play. You have a couple of young guys. Matt Vierling is pretty good. I like Kerry Carpenter. He's got some nice power. Riley Green was electric in the first half, struggled down the stretch, but I do think he's a really good player. He's still young. Javier Baez was a little bit better last year. Jace Jung is still young. Colt Keefe's is a young infielder that you have. So I think you'll have enough bats that with an elite pitching staff, this is going to be a really good team that is going to contend possibly for a championship. And there's a lot of pressure with Trick Screwball's free agency looming. They signed on not to trade him, so they are going all in this year, as all in as that team will go. I have the Kansas City Royals being in second place. I think they'll be a little bit short of the 85 wins that the Pacoda has now. I'm going to take the under on that. They have some elite pitching. Cole Reagan was hurt a lot last year. However, that guy's an electric young arm. Michael Wacha is good. Seth Lugo was turned into a really good arm. Chris Bubik's pretty good. He has some decent depth there. Bullpen's really good with Carlos Estevez, Lucas Craig, John Schreiber, Nick Mears, Matt Strom you add. That's a really good pitching staff. Offensively, though, Bobby Witt is electric, one of the league's best players. Salvi's a full Hall of Fame catcher. He's still pretty good. I like Vinny Pescatini at first base. You bring in Isaac Collins, who's a solid outfielder. Other than that, you're relying on Jack Caglione, who I think has a lot of talent, but still really young, has looked really bad last year. What will you get out of him? Drew Wars, a more failed prospect. You're still trying to get something out of him. Kyle Isbeth doesn't have much of a bat. Jonathan India's fallen off his rookie year. And then you have guys like Michael Massey and Michael Garcia, who did have a good year last year. This is a team that's going to pitch really well. You're really good defensively and will compete as a result, but it's just not as good as the Detroit Tigers. In third place, I have the Cleveland Guardians. So look, their over-under is 75 wins. I haven't taken the over. Their rosters is a 70-win team, but they have some magic wands where they can somehow find themselves in the American League Central picture every single year. Last year, they were maybe a 500 team through August, and then September just flipped the switch, ended up making the playoffs and winning the division. I don't get how they do it, but they have a couple of young arms that like Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams are very good. Logan Allen has shown potential in the past. Bullpen's really good with Cade Smith and 100 guys leading the charge. Tim Herron, Connor Brogdon have a lot of arms that you had Colin Holderman. Offensively, you're really bad. Stephen Kwan's a great hitter. Jose Ramirez is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Outside of that, you don't get much offense out of the catching position with Bo Naylor and Austin Hedges. Brian Rocchio's bat hasn't shown much. Nolan Jones is pretty good. Other than that, David Fry's got some power to him out their offense. There's a lot to be desired. I don't think they have enough bats to make a run. Though they'll somehow be in the race in September. I'm sure they'll find a way, but I think they'll be in third place in this division. Ultimately, in fourth place, I have the Minnesota Twins. I have them going the under 78 wins. They moved off some pieces in the offseason. You lose Pablo Lopez for the year. He's your second best starting pitcher to Tommy John. Joe Ryan's electric, though. I can see him being traded at the deadline. Bailey Ober is okay. Other than that, you're counting on Mick Abel, the top prospect you got from Philadelphia last year, to make a jump. Plus, something with Thomas Bradley you bring in from Tampa. to make a jump. This bullpen's going to be pretty bad. The close one now is Cole Sands. Taylor Rogers is kind of old. You bring in Anthony Banda, was very bad in the playoffs last year for the Dodgers. They're going to pitch much, and offensively, they're a whole lot better. You're counting on a guy like Eric Wageman, who you bring in to really take a step forward. Cody Clemens kind of still waiting on. Royce Lewis is really good, but always hurt from our first pick. Byron Buxton's really good. You bring in, take a shot on James Outman from the Dodgers, who flashed a year or two ago. Trevor Laniker's pretty good, but this is a really young team. It's going through a bit of a transition. I don't like the manager hire to bring in Derek Shelton. I don't think he's a very good fit there. Minnesota's kind of a mess. I think they'll be a very bad team. This is a team that will easily lose 90 games. In last place, I have the Chicago White Sox. They're at 69 wins. I'm going to take the under. They won't be horrific, but I don't think they'll be good either. There is some young talent on this team. Offensively, I like the Murakami signing. We're going to get a full year of Kyle Teal behind the plate. He's the top prospect you got in the Crochet trade. Same thing with Colson Montgomery, who will play most of the shortstop for you. Everson Pereira, from more Yankees prospect who you recently pick up. Bray Montgomery is a former first rounder by Boston, who they got in the Crochet trade. You had Olson Hayes, who's a good outfielder. You pick up Luis Angel Acuna for Luis Robert. He'll play a bunch for you. I like Chase Mitroff, so they have some young talent offensively. They could be real. They're going to be exciting. They just don't have enough pitching. A lot of guys are improving, like Shane Smith and Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Jonathan Cann. The bullpen's going to be horrific again. You're counting on a bounce back from Jordan Hicks. There's not a whole lot to show for it. So although offensively, I think they could hold their own. They're going to be exciting. I think Murakami will hit a lot of home runs for them. They have a bunch of American League Rookie of the Year candidates. It's probably going to come from this team. You have like 4 or 5 of them on this team, but they're still really young. They're still several years away from really competing, and they just don't really have any pitching whatsoever. So that's why I think we're going to get at the American League Central. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Max Scherzer. Toronto re-signs him a year for $3 million. Can get up to $10 million. He'll be a mentor for a lot of those young pitchers there, and he'll compete for a spot in their rotation, I'm sure, this coming year. He showed, although he wasn't great last year over 5, pitched well in the playoffs, showed at the very end of the year, he can still go to an extent, for probably on he's going to have to only pitch over like 6th day or something like that, even in his 40s. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.